Welcome back. This is Mr. Tipton, and today we are talking about angle relationships. Unit 9 is all about different angle things, and got a few relationships to look at today. First, a quick review of angles. Alright, make sure we get the definition down. An angle is two rays with a common endpoint called the vertex. The vertex in this angle that I've drawn is point B. That's the common endpoint that both of the other rays come out of. There are four different ways to name this angle. You can call it angle ABC because those are the 3 points in the angle. But you can also name it backwards of that and call it angle CBA. What's important when you're naming an angle like this is that the vertex has to be the middle letter. If you call it angle BAC, then whoever's reading this thinks that A is the vertex, but that does not apply to this picture. So please make sure when you're naming an angle with 3 letters, make sure the vertex is the letter in the middle. And this is primarily how we're going to be writing our angle names this year. Another way, two other ways of writing down this angle is sometimes, it's very rare, but sometimes you'll see an angle named by only its vertex, and in some cases there'll be a number inside the angle that you can name it by. So this angle could also be called angle B or angle 2. Let's move on. Here we've got, this will be a little bit of review from elementary school. 4 kinds of angles. I just want to make sure that we know what they're called, how to classify these types of angles. This one here you may recognize as acute. An acute angle is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. This one over here, I'll switch colors. This is obtuse. Obtuse angles are greater than 90 degrees, but they are less than 180. Okay, so between 90 and 180. That's obtuse. And I did not draw this one very straight, but I did put this nice pretty box down here in the corner. And when you see that box, you know we are talking about a right angle. Right angles have a 90-degree angle in them. And then our last one is called a straight angle. Straight angles are 180 degrees. Another name for a straight angle is a line, but you probably already knew that. Straight angles and lines are the same thing. Alright, so that's a little bit of review. Let's move on to some new stuff. Here we're going to talk about adjacent angles. Adjacent angles, I'll underline this in green, adjacent angles share a vertex and a ray. Let me show you one pair of adjacent angles. Angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent. Adjacent means next to, but when you get technical with geometry terms, okay, all 4 of these angles could be considered next to each other because they're so close. But mathematically, they're only adjacent if they share a vertex and a ray. So angle 1 and 2, all the angles share this as the vertex. Here's angle 1. I'm drawing it with green. And angle 2 is right here. Okay, this is the ray that they share. They share a vertex and a ray. Do you see any other pairs of adjacent angles here? Hopefully. Angle 2 and angle 3 are adjacent. Okay, here's angle 2. And here's angle 3. Going back up the 2 line again. Oh, tough to draw straight. Angle 2 and 3, they share a vertex and a ray. What comes next? Angle 3 and angle 4. Oh, too much ink on the screen. Angle 3 is right here. And angle 4 is right here. And the last pair of adjacent angles in this picture is angle 1 and angle 4. Angle 1 and angle 4. They share a vertex and a ray. Okay, so that's the definition for an adjacent angle. It shares a vertex and a ray, and there are some examples. Not only do we have adjacent angles, but this year we also have vertical angles. Vertical angles have 3 characteristics. They share a vertex, but not a ray. Adjacent angles share a ray, vertical angles do not. Vertical angles are going to form opposite V's. And the last thing to know is that vertical angles are congruent. There are 2 pairs of vertical angles in this picture. The first pair is angle 1 and angle 3. Angle 1 and angle 3 share this vertex. And as I outline angle 1 in green, okay, and now I'm going to outline angle 3 in green. Both angles have their own rays. They do not share any rays. They make opposite V's, okay, like the letter V, the shape of a V. They're opposite of each other. And because they're opposite of each other, it means they're congruent. So if I told you that angle 1 was 120 degrees, it means that angle 3 is also 120 degrees. Vertical angles are congruent. That's just the rule. Okay, the other pair of vertical angles, angle 2 and angle 4. Again, they share a vertex, but they do not share a ray. Do not share a ray. They make opposite V's. They're directly across from each other, and they are congruent. If I told you that angle 2 was 60 degrees, I'll run out of ink here. If I told you angle 2 was 60 degrees, then you would know that angle 4 was also 60 degrees. Okay? Adjacent angles, vertical angles. 2 more angles, angle types that might be new to you. And the first one is called complementary. Complementary angles. Boy, I'm having a hard time drawing straight. Complementary angles. They are a pair of angles whose sum is 90 degrees. When I look down here at this picture, I've got the right angle ABC. I've got the right angle ABC. And that's 90 degrees. I know it's 90 degrees because it's got the box in the corner. There are 2 angles that are making up angle ABC. We've got angle ABD and angle CBD. That's a B. CBD. Alright? You see that? ABD and CBD are making up ABC. They're complementary because their sum is 90 degrees. Sum is an adding word. So when we add the two angles together, we get 90 degrees. Now, what's the measure of angle ABD? Well, we don't know. So it's x. What is the measure of angle CBD? It's 58. And what's the measure of angle ABC? 90. We know it's 90 because of the right angle box in the corner, and because that's what complementary angles are. It's two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. We can actually find the measure of the other angle by solving this. Okay, we've got a positive 58, so we subtract 58. And what you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So the missing angle, the one we didn't know, is, what is that, 32 degrees. 32 plus 58 is 90. Complementary angles are a pair. Two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. And our last angle relationship for today are called supplementary angles. We just got done with complementary. These are supplementary angles. They're very similar. We're talking about a pair of angles with a sum, but for supplementary, their sum is 180. Complementary is 90. Supplementary is 180. Our angles here, we've got angle HJM plus angle KJM is equal to our straight angle HJK. Oh, and I forgot my angle symbols. Angle, angle, angle. Okay, the green angle with the X in it plus the blue angle with 13 degrees equals the straight angle HJK. And we can substitute in what we know to solve for the missing angle. HJM is 13, and because they are supplementary, we know that HJK is 180 degrees. Subtract 13 from both sides, and I'm going to go over here to write down that X is equal to 167 degrees. Alright, so the four new kinds of angles, the four new angle relationships, I can get my screen to cooperate. Come on. We've got adjacent angles. Adjacent angles share a vertex and a ray. They're right next to each other. We have vertical angles. Vertical angles share a vertex but not a ray. They make opposite V's, and we also know that vertical angles are congruent. Our next relationship are complementary angles. These are a pair of angles whose sum is 90 degrees. And then our last one is supplementary angles. It's a pair of angles whose sum is 180 degrees. So several new types of angle relationships here in this video. If you have questions about anything that we've discussed here, please write them down and we'll talk about them in class. See you soon.